What's up guys, Silver here with another Halo Master Chief Collection Achievement Guide. This time we're doing part 10 of our Halo CE LASO walkthrough. This is the final level of the Maw, so start this up. We're going to spawn in here in the Pillar of Autumn and we're just going to follow this path. There's no enemies in the first couple sections here. We're going to go into these kind of maintenance shafts, whatever these things are. Take a left and then a left, and we're going to see that there is a bunch of infection forms coming out of this hole here, which we have to go down eventually. So we're going to just melee these guys. At the bottom, there's a bunch of carrier forms along with some sentinels, and they're fighting each other. So you could just stay up here and wait for these sentinels to take out those carrier forms. Just kind of wait up here, wait for those explosions to occur. You could hear them, even though you might not be able to see them. So just wait. You could hear the sentinel beams going off as well. So hang out here for a little bit. Then we're going to drop down, and when we do, we're actually going to make our way as quickly as possible over here and just past these sentinels, and then we're going to fire our assault rifle a little bit, and then we're going to cut back once we get to that point, and then just go back up the ladder. The reason we did that is by moving up to where we did, we spawned in 5 flood combat forms, and then by firing our gun, we actually got them to move up towards our location. So those flood combat forms are now fighting the sentinels, so those sentinels and flood will wear each other out. Sometimes there's no enemies remaining. The flood will kill the sentinels, and then the sentinels fall to the ground and explode and kill the remaining flood, so then you'll have nobody to deal with. Sometimes there's a couple flood combat forms that survive, though. You can see that's what's happening here. Depending on which combat form survives, you could just shoot at them, but this guy's a Magnum, which is doing pretty decent damage to me up here, so I'm just going to throw a grenade, and then we can finish him off with some bullets here. Sometimes I've found that they actually climb up the ladder as well, but the kind of shaft up there is so narrow that only one could attack you at a time, so you could actually just melee them until they die while you maintain your shield. But once we clear out all those enemies, we're going to get down here and look for the shotgun and the Magnum. Those are the 2 weapons we want to carry for the first part of the mission at least. So you can see here I'm using the infinite ammo glitch. I'm just showing this off right now. All you do is stand over a weapon that you could pick up, and then you hit reload, and then you switch to that weapon that's on the ground. And then even though you actually switched a weapon and threw it on the ground, it will still continue the sound of reloading that weapon. And then you want to make sure that sound effect finishes before you pick it up again. And then you'll notice, if you did it right, that you actually reloaded the gun without using any of your ammo. But if you're switching weapons in this area and you find that you've lost it, you don't know where you put it, check that area I was just meleeing on the ground, and also check this same spot in this doorway. For whatever reason, when you throw a weapon on the ground in this area, sometimes those weapons warp to those 2 particular points. I don't know why, but it's kind of weird. But as we pass through this doorway, we're going to get the door that I just zoomed in on to open up, and a bunch of flood will burst through. But we're going to hide in this corner, and we'll get the flood to not actually pour through and attack us. And this way we could kind of ease our way out and get the attention of the infection forms. Once the infection forms notice where you are, they don't actually share that information with the combat forms, and the same with the carrier forms. They kind of have their own communication network, it seems. So we're just going to let all these infection forms come at us and jump onto our shield, and they'll pop that way. And then obviously you want to keep meleeing every so often to maintain your shield. And then we're going to throw a frag grenade against the far wall once most of them are dead, and then we're going to back up so we avoid any explosions or chain reactions, and then wait a little bit because there's going to be a couple explosions that occur because of the carrier forms and any grenades that happen to be dropped in there as well. Then we're going to charge in here. Usually there's not a carrier form here, so I'm backing up again because I don't want a chain reaction or the initial explosion that occurs from a carrier dying to take me out. And then we're going to move forward again, and we're going to gather as much ammo in this room as we can. There should be a couple shotguns at least, maybe some pistol, maybe not though. So you can see I'm just making sure I'm rubbing up against all the walls and the corners and everything, making sure I get as much ammo as possible. And then we're going to turn the corner. There's going to be 2 or 3 more enemies there. Sometimes there's a carrier form as well, so watch out for that. And you kind of want to stay in this general area and not move forward, so you can make sure you kill all of the enemies before pressing forward, so that way you ensure you get a checkpoint. So if you do end up dying, you could just do the workaround for the Iron Skull, which is hitting start and then save and quit, and then resuming once you get back to the lobby, and that way you get set back at your last checkpoint. So by killing all those enemies, we'll get a checkpoint there. As we go through that doorway, we're going to grab a health pack and the frag grenades on the ground over here, and then we're going to go in this direction, and you want to do that pretty quickly, and there will be a hunter coming out of the doorway there. So he will be distracted by the infection forms here. You can see he's just kind of turning around and not really noticing us at all. So just wait for him to turn away from us, and then we could just shoot him in the back in the orange gooey bits and take him out with 1 pistol shot there. And then we'll turn our attention to the far hunter on the other side of the hallway here. He's going to be fighting a bunch of combat forms, so we could just wait for the result of that. Sometimes the hunter lives, usually he lives, I would say, and he takes out all the combat forms. So we're just going to go over there and see what's up. Apparently there's some infection forms keeping him busy, so I'm just going to turn my attention to the Covenant in the cafeteria there. And you want to kill the grunts as they're close to the elite. So you want to wait for the grunts to get close to the elite, because we want that explosion from the grunt funeral skull to take out the elite. So it looks like We got a pretty good explosion there, which took everybody out. Sometimes you'll have to put a little more effort into that than other times, but that was a pretty good run there. And it looks like this guy is still distracted by the infection form, so we're just going to finish him off there. And then we're ready to go here. So we want to have 2 plasma grenades ready for this point. At least 1, I would say. You actually spawn with 2 plasma grenades in this mission. You can't pick any of them up, but you could use the 2 that you spawn with. So we're just gathering ammo here at this point. There should be some shotty and pistol ammo in this area. But in this cafeteria, once you kill the initial enemies that are in there, which we did with the headshots to the grunts and then the explosions killed everybody else, you'll notice that there's no more enemies until we pass these 2 cafeteria tables. So there's this one, and then there's these 2 right here. And once we pass this line in the floor, in the tile floor, more enemies will spawn in the doorway on the far side of the cafeteria. So we're just going to scooch up to that line so we don't spawn them in, but we get close to the door so we can throw a plasma grenade into the doorway, wait a second, and then move forward and spawn them in, and the grenade will go off right as they spawn. They'll take a lot of damage. Throw a frag grenade to the right of the door, and then a frag grenade further out, and then another frag grenade back towards the door, and that should take out everybody. There's 2 elites and a handful of grunts that spawn in that doorway. And while I was actually throwing those grenades, you may have noticed that I picked up 2 grenades. There's some grenades in the wall behind me. Just check the nook in the wall there. You'll find 2 frag grenades just sitting there, waiting to be picked up. Go back here, pick up any leftover frag grenades you may have left behind because you had full grenades at the time. Grab a health pack if you need it, if there's still a health pack there. When you first get into that hallway, there's 2 sitting there, so if you only used 1, go grab the second one. And then we're going to move into the next section. There's another health pack in this hallway to the right, but we're not going to grab that just yet. I'm going to save it. We're going to take out our shotgun, and right where I'm zooming in, you could juggle an assault rifle there if you want to use the infinite ammo glitch for this section, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to charge this elite's location, shotgun him in the chest, and you could finish him off with a shotgun or a melee. I went for the back smack after I stunned him with the initial shotgun blast there. Then we're just going to poke our heads out of the corner, or around the corner, and take out these grunts. There's 5 grunts in this section. Some have fuel rods, so watch out. They will explode from their initial grunt funeral explosion, but also their fuel rods explode as well once the user dies, so watch out for that. Also in this section, there are going to be some sentinels that spawn in after the cutscene here, but before we do that, we want to try to grab a shotgun. There's a shotgun somewhere in this bridge section, and it gets blasted around from all the fuel rods and grunt funeral skulls going off. This time it happened to be here. It'll probably be in a different place if you play through this, so just keep that in mind. Grab some extra ammo. Trigger the cutscene, and you can see I was kind of facing away from the sentinels and the bridge right when I triggered that in, so I could just start moving away right after the cutscene. So we skip that. We're going to go over here, and we're going to take out our shotgun. We're going to shotgun 4 or 5 times on the right side of the door. You can see I'm not right in the middle of the doorway. I'm kind of off to the side. But you want to shoot 4 or 5 shots with a shotgun and then back up and continue to fire, but then throw a frag grenade towards the doorway because there's going to be a bunch of grenades that pile up there from the initial enemies that you were killing with your shotgun. And then there will be a giant explosion that will kill most or all of those enemies that remain as the flood come pouring through that door. So again, 4 or 5 shots with the shotty. You can see this beam is kind of annoying. If you back up and throw a frag grenade, there's a chance that you'll throw the frag, meaning to throw it at the door, but you actually throw it and accidentally hit the kind of cross beam there as you're moving backwards. So be aware of that. And then we could see here, sometimes this guy's peeking through the barricade here. Sometimes there's a flood form. Oftentimes there's a flood form here who gets kind of stuck there. So just kind of look there, make sure there's nobody there. And if he is there, deal with him as needed. Sometimes he could even be useful because he's one last enemy where you could melee him to get your shield back if you don't happen to have it. But you can see I was waiting for the battle in this hallway to die down before I moved through. There's Flood and Covenant fighting each other, so just kind of wait at the doorway before moving through. And then once most of them are dead, you could just cut through the hallway and not really have to worry about getting attacked. Then we're going to go into here, use these infection forms to get your shield back if you need to. Then we're going to run past these sentinels, continue to melee these sentinels. You don't want to assassinate them because you could see I took a lot of damage, for my shield at least, when that guy fell to the ground and exploded. But keep meleeing all those enemies to keep your shield up, and then we could jump over these pipes on the left, and we'll be able to grab a health pack in the corner here before moving on to the next section. And then we're going to jump over the pipes again, go over here, and then we're just going to walk up the incline on the wall here, and we'll be able to jump to the catwalk from here to avoid most of this battle. Sometimes there's a flood form there, sometimes not. Deal with him if he is there. But then you can see I wrapped around the console there in the middle of that room because there's some frags on that side. So I wanted to grab those if needed. And then we're going to go into this corner. You'll get a checkpoint. And then we want to slowly peek around the corner and see what's happening. You actually want to wait a few more seconds in that corner. I kind of push forward a little faster than you want to. But we're going to slowly look around the corner here to make sure there's nobody in the room directly in front of us. There's nobody there, so I know all of the enemies are going to be gathered up in that corner. So I'm going to throw a grenade right on that wall there, so it kind of bounces into that corner and kills anybody there. Sometimes you have to follow up with a second grenade, but we got 6 kills there, so that seems like it's everybody. So we're going to push forward here at this point, throw another frag back towards the door. And what you want to do is go and touch that point on the doorway on the right side, and then you could back up, and you don't have to worry about killing those guys so closely and so quickly. A lot of times, if you're trying to rush through that section, there's some carrier forms on the other side of that doorway. So by kind of rushing through that door, you'll get through the door, but then there's going to be a bunch of explosions and frag grenades going off and everything. So all you have to do is go up to this doorway. That will get everybody to stop spawning, so you'll only have to clean up whoever has spawned already, and then you don't have to worry about a ton of waves of enemies coming through that hallway like you would normally. Get up to that point, and then you don't have to worry about any more spawning in. Then we're going to grab ammo, grab that overshield like I just did, and grab all the supplies you can, the health pack, and we'll move forward through here. Shotgun this elite at point-blank range, and then you could just kind of turn around as you're going into this hallway, and then we'll just keep going through this hallway. It's going to lead us back to the same hallway we were in where the elite was. There's going to be another elite here, along with a grunt. There's hunters in this room, but we're really just going to run past these guys. You could take your time if you would like, but those guys are pretty distracted with the sentinels on the other end of the hallway, so we could run past these guys. And now that we're in the armory, we're going to go to the far right side and grab these rockets, and we'll have full rockets, full shoddy at this point. And the reason I didn't grab the rockets that are actually closer to the doorway here, that'll pop up in a little bit, so I'll show you why I did that when it comes up. So we're going to go into the engineering section here, and we'll be able to take out these 4 thingamabobs to get the Pillar of Autumn to blow up. We're going to go to the left at this point. You could go left or right there. We're going to go left, and we're going to frag grenade jump. Throw a frag grenade right about there. Jump up here. There's some health on the wall if you need it. I don't need it, so I'm just going to move up. You could also grab one to just get your shield back up. I think I'm pretty good in that department due to the overshield, but even if you are very low on shield, there's these infection forms that are always here, so you could use them to get your shield back at least. So if you have full health, no need to grab a health pack. Just melee those guys for your shield to go back up. Jump up here, activate this console, and then we're going to move into this doorway. There is a way to despawn these sentinels, but you have to do it every so often because they keep respawning, but you could kill them instantly. So we're going to go over here, and this is where they actually spawn. And by being in this area where they spawn, this actually kills them instantly. So you're going to see them spawn in, and then they're going to collapse and die. There they are. And we've killed them. So now we have a set amount of time. I'm not sure how much time it is, but we have a decent amount of time now before they respawn. So we could safely take out this first thingamabob, jump onto this kind of shaft over here, and then we could wait for these flaps to open up, and then we could shoot a rocket deep into there. Sometimes it doesn't blow up with one rocket on LASO. Sometimes you need a second rocket, or you could throw another grenade in there. So I actually activated that second console now, and instead of going all the way where I went to despawn those sentinels, you could actually do it from the other side of the wall, so you don't have to go all the way around through that doorway. So you can see these 3 light gray strips along the floor here. I'm standing on one, standing on the second one now, and there's the one over there by the door. You could actually just go past the second one and just hug the wall right here where I'm hugging it right now, and you're close enough to the sentinels where they actually despawn like they did earlier, so we could not have to worry about them. You could just listen for the sound of them exploding and falling to the ground to confirm that they're dead. So that's what I just did there, and we shot a rocket. It wasn't enough. Luckily I have another nade, so we don't have to necessarily worry about running out of rockets just yet, but I'll show you how to deal with that in a little bit if you do run out of rockets. So now we have to come to this side where there's some flood. I activate the far console from the doorway here. So we're going to go into here just like we've been doing, despawn the sentinels, hug the wall, and go behind the second light gray strip there. And then I just heard them collapse to the ground and die and everything. So I'm going to move out here now. And there are still some flood. There's no despawning the flood that I know of. We just despawned the sentinels. So I'm going to just shotgun these guys while I'm kind of moving up there. The flaps to that third thing where the nav point is were not open, so I was getting kind of worried. I just didn't want to be a sitting duck in the middle of the room there, so I decided to move up and kill some people while those flaps were opening. And if you find the flood are attacking you, you can actually move up towards them, which is counterintuitive, and it's a little safer because your shotgun is more effective at close range, obviously, and also you could get closer to the catwalk, which cuts down on their angle, so they can't really shoot you as easily. And now the sentinels are coming in. We took too much time there, so I'm going to go in here again and despawn them. and I just jumped into the fire and lost some health there, so that's not a good idea. They've despawned, but we still have the flood left because, again, those guys do not despawn. So we're just going to hang it over here. I have no shield at this point, so I'm a little worried. I'm just going to throw a frag out there to kill only one of 2 people. I was hoping that would take out 2, but we only killed 1. Flood guys with the pistol are very dangerous when you don't have any shield and you're low on health. But it looks like that guy was actually blasted down to the ground, even though he wasn't killed with the grenade. He was blasted out of here. And I have very low health right now, and I'm actually going to show you what to do if you have low health and you have to drop down. So we're going to go over here. There's 8 health packs throughout this area, so we just grabbed 1. You could shoot these things from below. Unfortunately, I have to go back up now. I took out that 3rd one, but the 4th one needs to be opened up, so I have to go all the way to the top to open that up. I can't just shoot it from below here now. So we're going to go back to the, not the beginning of the mission. I almost said go back to the beginning. We ain't doing that. We're just moving back, and I'm going to speed this part up. We're just going back to the armory, and we're going to grab some more rockets. And you could see that there's invisible flood in this room now, which is the reason I left the ammo that's close to the door here. So when we do come back, if we do have to come back, we don't have to deal with all of those invisible flood. We might have to deal with one, which we could see happened there, but I don't have to deal with a ton of them by going all the way down to the other end of the armory. I could just kind of stick my head in, grab the ammo that's close to the door, and then peace out. So I don't think I needed more rocket ammo in particular, but I just wanted to show you what to do in case you happen to run out and you really need to go back to that armory. We're going to go over here now, and we're going to grab some more health. Again, there's 8 health packs in this room, so you shouldn't run out of that. And we're going to grab one on the wall on this side. We're going to move up to level 2, and we're going to actually have to fight some flood on our way up now. By doing the grenade jump in the beginning of this room, we kind of skipped having to fight these guys on the way up, but unfortunately now we won't be able to do that, so we're going to have to fight these guys. You want to throw a grenade through the doorway if you can, and then just kind of wait for an explosion because there is a carrier form that spawns in the group of flood enemies in that doorway, so wait for that explosion to occur. You don't want to be close by when it does occur. Then we're going to move through. I was struggling to jump on those barrels there. Activate this console, and then we'll be able to quickly go to the spot where we despawn those sentinels. There's various places where you could despawn the sentinels. This is just the most convenient one, the most useful one, because we're up near the things that we have to activate and shoot rockets into. So we're going to go over here, shoot as deep as you can into the shaft there. You don't want to shoot the gray part in the middle. You want to shoot kind of the back of it where it's all red and glowing. And then we're going to go over here, and we could actually despawn additional waves of flood by going over here. And you could actually just continue through the mission at this point, but don't go towards that door. There's a big explosion. And we're just going to hang back here, shoot a rocket in there, so we could kill a bunch of people from afar, and then those explosions will hopefully and probably kill everybody else. There's all those grunts exploding from the grunt funeral skull. There's the fuel rods exploding because they're fuel rods. And there are 2 elites who are probably going to be killed by all those explosions. Sometimes that doesn't occur, though, but you could always just shoot a rocket in there, a second rocket if you need to. Or you could finish him off with a shotgun or something because he should be pretty weak. But I'm going to go back down here now. If you're super low on health, you could always just go back down. Be aware that the flood forms that were in here will still be in here. But now I'm going back to the point where I showed that there were additional enemies that are spawning in, but that doesn't occur now since we went and loaded in that elevator section, the top of that elevator shaft. We actually could come back down here now, grab a fresh health pack, and we don't have to worry about additional waves of enemies spawning like we did earlier when we had to go through all the hallways and climb up the ramps and everything. We'll get to the top of the elevator here, and if you do have low health and shield for some reason, you couldn't go down and get a health pack. I don't know how that would happen if you use all 8 somehow. You want to just hang out in the middle of the elevator and just crouch to avoid most of the explosions that are happening all around you. You'll probably take some damage, but you can minimize it. We're going to go over here, and you can trigger these explosions before you get in the Warthog, which is preferable. And you can see I took damage there. I went a little too far to the left, but if I just kind of kept my body facing that wall, that structure, I wouldn't have taken any damage there. But grab a health pack. There's a bunch of health packs in this area regardless. And you can see I grabbed one, and we're going to move out here. Make sure all those explosions are done before you move out here, because there are a bunch of grunts and plasma grenades that are active before moving out there. But you can see I went to the left of that ramp there. You want to try to avoid any unnecessary ramps, because that just increases your chances of flipping, and it decreases your time. So we want to get through here as quickly as possible, obviously. We'll take less fire and everything. So we're going to zigzag through here. You could take the ramp to get to the top of this if you would like. That wouldn't be a terrible idea. But we're going to cut in here now, and we want to take this ramp, kind of cut into the left once you get to this final ramp here, so you can launch yourself into this tunnel. And then once we get to the end of this part, we're going to go to the left and go along the left side of this next area, and that will enable us to not take as much damage. There's a bunch of flood and sentinels here. We're going to stay on the left side here, just go up this little ramp, go along this catwalk, and continue our way. And then we can just cut into the right once we get to the end here. And then we're going to go past 2 pillars. And once we get past that second pillar, we're going to cut into the left. There's a shortcut here, and we'll be able to go in here, this tunnel, and we'll take a left once we get to the end of this tunnel as well. And you'll be able to cut off a good chunk of the course that you normally have to drive. So we're going to take a left here as well once we get to this section and go up this small ramp on the left side again. Go along this catwalk like in the previous section. Same thing here. We're just avoiding a lot of the nonsense happening in the middle of the map. And then we'll go along this big hill, which you can't actually get up unless you're on a warthog. Fun fact. Go down this hill, and then we're going to go towards the middle. You could use this tunnel right here. You can see there's a bunch of infection forms down below there. That ramp I did not take. I went to the left of. You could actually go down in there and melee one of the infection forms that's down there to get your shield back, which is a decent idea for me because I have no shield and I'm very low on health. And you can see all those explosions that just happened took my half health down to 1 bar of health. So I'm in pretty bad shape right now, but we're going to do it. I like to live dangerously, but like in the first section, we're going to cut into that final ramp and use it to launch ourselves into this next section. I was horrified that Elite was actually going to take me out with my 1 bar of health, but we live to tell the tale. This is the section where Foehammer is supposed to pick us up. I just keep driving. There's no need to pause or anything. We'll just keep going. Foehammer never makes the rendezvous anyway. I don't know what her deal is. But down here, there's a couple pillars in the middle of the tunnel, so we have to go left or right. I'm going to go left, and I'm going to keep my right tires on the middle structure here to kind of avoid most of the effects of the speed bumps that we have to go over. So you go a lot more smoothly and a lot faster if you just kind of have your tires on that middle structure, that middle raised structure. But we're going to go down here now. 2 more pillars we're going to pass, and we're going to cut into the right this time into a secret tunnel to cut off a lot of the run here so we don't have to go as far. Here I'm going to bail out. You could do this if you have enough time and you have a need of shield, which I definitely do. So we're going to smack this guy. This is the final grunt. He will give you an Easter egg. Actually, he's the thirsty grunt. Forget what I just said. That is definitely the thirsty grunt. Hop back in your warthog. Try to avoid the fire so you don't take unnecessary damage. And then we're going to cut to the right, and then we'll just kind of follow this path. There's going to be a bunch of explosions, a couple elites, some flood. You could splatter those guys for some extra points here right at the end. And then straight up ahead here is the giant jump. This is very scary your first time through, and very scary probably your 100th time through. It's a pretty big jump. There is a slight chance that you could die during this jump, but you'll probably be fine. Just kind of straighten out your hog before you do the jump to make sure it's a nice straight jump and fall down to the bottom level, whichever level you fall down to, and then just keep going. Basically, we just go straight at this point and go through this tunnel. There's a bunch of explosions and a bunch of flood. We got to cut to the side here because there's some more pillars. We're going to cut back into the middle, and we're going to bail out. You could squeeze your hog through here, but it's kind of tough for most people to figure out how to squeeze through. Then we're just going to go over here, and we actually could run up the side of the runway there, or you could even go down here where I am. There's a ramp leading down here, and you could take a shot with your rockets if you have any left over at that plasma turret, because he's the only guy who could actually take any shots at you at this point. This is a safe route, a very safe route. You should only take it, though, if you have enough time, because it does take a little longer. We're going to go kind of up past where we need to go and then kind of wrap back up below the final spot that we need to get to. But a little trivia here at the end. That is actually the spot where Johnson gives his giant hula hoop speech in the beginning of Pillar of Autumn, the opening cutscene, one of the opening cutscenes. We're going to come up under this ramp here and just jump up here and touch the side of the ramp there, and you will be able to trigger the cutscene, and you'll have beaten Halo CE on LASO. So again, only take that roundabout route if you have enough time. It's much safer, but it is slower. The faster way would be to stay up on the top level and just kind of keep your distance from the middle area, because that's where a bunch of explosions and people are fighting. But that's it for CE LASO 2.0. Thanks for watching, guys, joining me on this journey. Stick around because I'll be starting up a new series of Halo 2 LASO videos. So those will be 2.0 guides, lots of new tricks, lots of new tips to make Halo 2 LASO way easier. So that will be coming very soon. So I'll see you guys for that, starting off with Cairo Station. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found that video helpful, be sure to click on the scorpion icon to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. You can also check out some related guides by clicking on the videos on screen, and you can find links in the description for other social media links of mine. Stay tuned for more Halo guides, and I'll see you in the next one.